Thank you very much. It's a great honor and a great event. Before I was principal of Gloucester High School, I was in early involvement in the Gloucester Writers' Center and in the Charles Olson Society and many endeavors with Annie and Henry. So the Gloucester Writers' Center is really close to me. That's why this particular scholarship, of all the awards that I get to give out, has a different kind of meaning for me, which is a scholarship that is for both writing and for activism. And I think, and those are, again, two themes that are very important to me and couldn't be more important to all of us at this time. Baraka himself was an inspirational figure as a writer, as a playwright, as a poet, as an essayist, particularly issues around racism in America, and particularly for the theme tonight, a real focus on Newark in New Jersey, real location in place, an early contact with Charles Olson, really helped establish that for him. But he went on and well beyond, both as a writer and as an activist. I'd like to thank Susan Pollack for securing the funding for this award consistently, which is so important. I'd like to thank the Gloucester Writers' Center, particularly Henry Farini and Annie Thomas, for sponsoring the award. And I'd like to thank all of them for the vision that this award represents. It's very unique in that writing takes a certain kind of discipline, focus, attention to detail. Activism takes passion, takes organizing groups of people. It's hard to do both. They're two different skill sets that only certain people can really bring together and do both well. And so tonight, it's even the biggest honor is to give this to Caroline Enos, a recent Gloucester High School graduate, who really, I've been thinking about you and this award since I think you were a sophomore. And I was going to be your teacher in junior year, but then I went and became principal, so that didn't happen. But I've been watching, your work with the school newspaper, the Gillnetter, and I recommend everyone to check out. Thank you. Caroline has been one of the most important figures in the renaissance of the school newspaper at Gloucester High School, which for many people in our community has become one of the most important sources of news, not news about the high school, but news in general. She wrote about research that some students at the high school did into sea level rise and how it would affect Gloucester High School particularly. Not so in general, this general issue, but also at the school itself. And then certainly the gun violence in our country really moved a tremendous number of students. Caroline not only covered those stories, but also gave an extremely powerful speech at the walkout. Caroline wrote and said, to those who say that students shouldn't be walking out today, that students should be in school, we are gathered here today because 17 teachers, coaches, and students are no longer in school. This is not acceptable. And then she went on to say, before a peer then read the names of those who were murdered in Parkland, she went on to say, students, continue to use your voice to stand up for yourselves and for those who no longer can. Most recently, I think it may have been your last piece, was an opinion piece about censorship at the school, which has really caused me to revisit some of the policies at the school for the coming year. So throughout the time, the paper has been done excellent reporting. They've learned editorial skills. They've learned interviewing skills. But they also continue to push us adults. Right? That's a huge part of what they've been able to do, is to challenge the administration and to challenge the larger community and the nation really to be better than we are. So it is in that spirit, in the spirit of Amiri Baraka, that I would like to present this year's, the 2018 Amiri Baraka Scholarship to Caroline Enos. And now, because this is what she does, we also ask that Caroline pick something, and it's a surprise for all of us, so that she picks something to share tonight before we get going with the storytelling. So, without further ado, Caroline Enos.
So what I'm reading tonight is actually derived from a project that Principal Cook started. The objective was for students to go into the community and kind of find a topic that they were interested in about the community. So what my group and I did was talk about how Gloucester's kind of changed over the years and how that's impacted the locals, and really if that's impacted the locals and kind of changed what our spirit is. Gloucester is a city born on the decaying nets of fishermen and maintained by the expansive wallets of tourists. It is a community as resistant to change as it is resilient in its stature. The locals here are a mixed breed as a result of the city's current transition from its 400-year-old fishing industry to the influx of tourists each summer. Many still cling to the way life was before urban renewal and the decline of fishing. Others encourage rampant development of new hotels and a flashier downtown appeal. This cultural shift has left a very important question prodding Gloucester and every other community that is deeply rooted in its own history. Even though a place changes physically, does the essence of its locals change as well? Gloucester locals, or Gloucestermen, have been praised and cursed for trying to isolate themselves from those who do not fit their image of Gloucester. But this island mentality is only a stereotype. While it seems that the stubborn disposition and impassioned desire to preserve one's perception defines a local here, it is ultimately the willingness to help anyone in need that defines a true Gloucesterman. Just as the fishing industry has taught those who live here how to protect their fellow crewmen, the tourist industry has encouraged them to be more tolerant and welcoming of diversity. As these two industries continue to redefine their roles in Gloucester's economic survival, Gloucestermen are beginning to see that they cannot avoid change altogether. But they still live with a sense of place that is defined by the people who populate it, not by the physical image the city projects. Even when threatened by change, the morals of this community remain unshaken. Gloucestermen know their success is linked with that of their neighbors, that the essence of this community lies within the spirit of its locals. The Gloucestermen still live on in the face of change. The Gloucestermen are still passionate for their home, even when the appearance of this passion may differ. They are still products of the past, despite the discrepancies of the present. The Gloucestermen show that physical change does not bring imminent doom for what was once constant. Instead, it is the people who allow the beauty and essence of a place to continue to live, even if in moderation.